Hello again, economics students. So in this video, we're going to look at the causes driving the trend in both the net foreign debt and net foreign equity. Just remember that in Australia, we have a positive net foreign debt figure of over $1 trillion, which means that we owe the rest of the world $1 trillion more than they owe us. So why would that be? And the primary cause is what we call the savings and investment imbalance, which just basically means we are not, as a country, saving enough money. We have an imbalance between the amount of savings we need and the amount of investment that can be made into Australia and that needed to be made into Australia. Because we didn't have enough savings to make all the investments, what we did is we borrowed money from overseas, and that pushed up our net foreign debt. There's a couple of other reasons that we won't go into too much detail, but every time the Australian government runs a budget deficit, to the extent that they finance this deficit by borrowing from overseas, this will also push up our net foreign debt. A budget deficit just means, not to confuse you too much, but when the government is spending more than they are earning. But we'll do much more on this in Unit 4. I think the key one here is that savings are not sufficient to meet our investment requirement, or there's a savings and investment imbalance. Let's look at the causes of net foreign equity. Remember that equities are assets, and because we have a negative net foreign equity in Australia, that actually means that Australians own, or they have more assets overseas than foreigners own or have assets in Australia. And the big driver of this is Australia's mandatory superannuation system. So you may have had a job in your life, or you may have a job now, and every time you get paid from your employer, I don't know if this is going to work, every time you get paid your wage, 10% of that has to go into a special account, or it's 10.5, called a superannuation account. Super. Sorry about my drawing. Now this big pool of superannuation money for all Australian workers gets bigger and bigger each year as people keep working. It's over $3 trillion as of recording. And because Australians are smart and superannuation funds are smart, they diversify. They don't invest this $3 trillion all in Australia or Australian businesses. They take a proportion of this, let's call this pie $3 trillion, and they take a big chunk of this, let's call it, I don't know, $1 trillion, and they invest it overseas. They buy companies like Apple, they buy companies like Amazon or Facebook, or they buy a wide range of different assets around the world. Now, the reason they do that is because they don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. They want to diversify, and also there is some amazing businesses to invest in around the world. But because we have this huge pool of superannuation, which is mandatory, or which means we have to contribute, employers have to contribute to on behalf of their employees, this pool of money just keeps getting bigger, and we keep investing more money overseas, which leads to this trend in net foreign equity. All right, hopefully that helps us understand both the composition, the makeup of net foreign debt and net foreign equities, and the causes. You could really just stick to one cause for each. Bye for now.